Well, we're about to find out what they're going to be banning next into match 2, or game 2 of Obey Alliance versus Astral Authority. Guys, we are ready for the picks and bans right here. Game 1 going towards Astral Authority. Obey Alliance, I think it was Zachsy on Izanami that just didn't do much, but we've seen Izanami do well. What can he do differently?
Well, I think that Izanami in the late game is not your best typical team fighting hunter. Like, you need some good setup to hit up your dark portal to be able to silence multiple members. Izanami's really good in terms of the early game, being able to try to get the effective clear.
Yeah,
if you're not against the Moose and Cobb, then you should be fine in terms of out-clearing your opposition and then making that important rotation. But if you're not making that snowball happen to be able to get objectives under your belt, then what's the point of Izanami?
Yeah, exactly. She becomes much a weaker god compared to someone like Coviiii, who can easily shred these tanks and make these really important rotations come 20, 22 minutes.
Coviiii getting banned out there, but by Obey Alliance, who picked him last game, so I guess they weren't too happy with his results.
I think that they're just worried about Astral Authority locking it in very early. Wolves being in the solo lane can easily play it. KhaoticPurpose can whip that out if he really wants to. And who knows, maybe Brochacha will play it in the support.
This looks very similar bans to last game that we're seeing. I think Coviii's just the only difference right now.
Taking away the Susano again, very respected pick by these teams.
The Osiris coming out. I think he was the one that was banned last game, so of course Astral Authority with that first pick is going to pick him up.
Very strong selection here. Wolves has the opportunity to now be the super lane bully. Dwurst had an early ease of a start in that solo lane. Playing that Sobek here, had a good idea towards being the lane bully once he started getting that Breastplate of Valor in. And that's something that is very easy to do when you're not dealing with the Osiris.
So far, seeing the same kind of gods as last game, rather than a new one. But it looks like these guys have very set-in-stone picks of their, maybe their scrim partners, I'm not sure, but they scrim each other a lot. So it looks like they're very set in stone. I just want to see these mid-lane picks to see what's going to be different, if anything.
Mind games are very real between these two teams, and I think that Astral Authority, with this one game advantage, has a lot of flexibility in terms of maybe showing us some extra flair. Dodge G for KhaoticPurpose was a slow start, I'd say, for Astral Authority. Could have been a little bit better, but definitely sealed the deal towards the end.
Yeah, I don't know if that was just that game that it had a slow start, because she is quite good early game. Maybe he's warmed up on her now, and he can really take off early game.
It definitely seems like they've warmed up entirely. I mean, even though Obey was ahead, they were never too ahead.
No, not at all.
They never really got the objectives under their belt. Both of these teams still kind of trying to figure out that first game jitters, get it out of the way before they really start turning on the heat here in game number 2. Discordia still being locked in for Delta Marine, so they still really like this pick. It has the opportunity to be very utility-based.
Yeah, so I guess answering my questions I had earlier, this isn't a cheesy pick for them. This isn't something new and fresh that they're showing Astral Authority. This is something that looks like they've been practicing for the past few weeks.
Ooh. I can't believe they actually allowed Coviiii to get through. I'm surprised that they didn't ban him out over Coviiii. But I guess they were worried about Coviiii. He just, Transonics did so well with Coviiii.
They could have also picked the Coviiii if they really wanted to, and I think that Zachsy doesn't necessarily care about playing the Coviiii, but honestly, Transonics can play anything under the sun. He's such a great hunter in the console scene, but so is Zachsy. He knows how to turn it on like a switch as well, so if he has any sort of advantage, Transonics could get punished as well.
A Zeus ban coming out. I guess they're a little worried about Coviiii playing him.
It's very possible. Has a lot of AoE, especially when you pair it up with the Coviiii Suns. You're dealing with a slow there, and then you're dealing with a lot of burst damage, and it makes it very difficult to position yourself around the jungle.
There's a good amount of tanks banned. I'm wondering what Astral Authority is going to be going with. I'm guessing the Fafnir, since he hasn't been banned out. Oh, but they haven't banned out anyone yet either, so I guess I can't make that assumption yet.
Gonna have to wait and see. I do want to see the Hunter matchup as well, because he should have learnt from his mistakes last game. If he is going to pick an early game Hunter, he needs to start those early rotations and not let Coviiii come online and take over the game.
Raijin is still available. It could be easily locked in. Habwa is a favorite for Delta Marine, not necessarily for Coviiii, but it's something that he could play as well. And with the Dodge G, you need to be able to keep up with the pace of her.
A lot of talk going into this last ban from Astral Authority here.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they're not even going to get the ban in.
I mean, they're definitely going to have to ban something here. It's going to be the Sobek. The way Dwurst was being able to be an absolute nuisance towards that early to mid game, you just knocked that one off the table.
All right, getting into picks now. Do you think they're going to be prioritizing that Hunter pick over on Obey, or is it going to be a tank?
But looks like it's going to be the Hunter pick and the Hachiman.
Hachiman is a nice idea because you have the CC immunity with your ultimate. If you get hit by dodgy chains, you break the chain by going on the horse, and then you can even turn around and look to fire the shot off.
Right, he might have been thinking about that through last game as well, so great answer to both the Hou-Yi pick and the Daji pick at once.
And the follow-up from Astral Authority. It was really the end picks there that defined their roster, so I'm wondering what these last two picks are going to be. Astral Authority definitely seems to be pretty good at making comps that they're comfortable with.
And I think Obey Alliance are going for a different route with this Xing Chen here, specifically letting the Hou-Yi go through because of the Furious Roar, just mitigating some of that in-hand damage, which is so important towards the late game especially.
So the Chang'e could come out again. To me, I didn't like it much in the last game until towards the end when his build really came online. But maybe they just play it again. Maybe they just run it back and see if Obey can adapt. If not, Astral just take another game.
Yep, and that'll be 2-0, and they'll be going forward in, to the finals, I should say, against Myth Gaming.
I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? And I think that's what Astral Authority is thinking in their head right now. But instead, Sylvanas is going to be the support selection for El Brochacho. Has a lot of sustain.
Yeah.
A lot of sustain and, of course, a lot of control between the route that he has, the pole. I'm wondering, how does that work with Hou-Yi, though?
The whole idea is to get a lot of clear off there because Sylvanas has AoE in hands, but it's going to be the Coviiii.
The noodle is back.
Yes, and that's something that Coviiii has been known to play every now and then. Not the most setup in the world, minus, you know, the Wrath of Terror, but that's good control around the jungle, especially securing some of these objectives.
I'm really glad Coviiii got banned, so we don't have to say Coviiii and Coviiii. It'd be a little confusing.
It was so weird talking to the designers of like, okay, this is how you have to pronounce this god and this god if they're ever in the same game.
All right, this Coviiii pick, is it directly for Discordia so he can stay far away, not really get damaged out by her, not get stunned out by the madness?
It's very possible, as well as just dropping the tornado on the stealth cloud.
Yeah, it's very easy to just, yeah, that's true, actually. I didn't think of that, but it's very just easy to dodge out too with the movement speed that comes from Collins too. So, but my worry is that they don't have a whole lot of setup. They have a lot of slows on their team. In fact, all of them have slows except Sylvanas. And I guess Sylvanas is the best setup for Coviiii here, apart from maybe the Dodgy ult.
And we got that Fafnir pick finishing out Obey's team right there. Guys, who are you giving it to looking at this?
I gotta give it to Astral Authority. Winning that last game here, I think that they got the picks that they really wanted to, and the Sylvanas is gonna create some nightmares for Obey Alliance.
Absolutely, yeah. I think the sustain's working really well with them. It worked with the Chang'e last game. It's gonna work with the Sylvanas this game.
Looks like you guys are going 2-0 for Astral Authority. And don't worry, F-Dot, I'm not gonna ask you guys this time, but are you excited?
You literally just asked me something this time. It was, am I excited? What are you doing? What are you doing? Either way, I got to break this one down. Coviiii is the mid lane, and Coviiii is the solo lane. We don't see him this time around, but it's been Coviiii since minute one. Anyway, also since minute one, Coviii's been playing Coviiii. This is the class. I was just sitting here next to Inbound from Myth Gaming, and he was just like, as soon as it was locked in, the classic Coviiii. I mean, we've seen it forever.
And that's just one of the guys that he loves to play, and it works out really well with Astral Authority, especially since they're going for a very similar start to what we saw in the last game. Spam Taunt's already coming through. Tilt Factor, I don't think, is going to come into play just yet. Obey are a little bit too experienced to fall victim to that just yet. Still always fun to deal on that skin.
I was going to say, I'm glad he's playing that skin. In my mind, he's playing that skin just for Kelly, so it looks like the noodle. Brochacho bringing out the Sylvanas, though, as well. Break this pick down for me.
I love the Sylvanas because he is a god that can hold his own as long as he isn't caught out by the hammer toss. Transonics actually opting to start with his support, and Zachsy, I am very surprised to watch him use his purification beads that early on.
If Zachsy doesn't use his beats there, I think he's dead.
Potentially, actually, because he did opt for the Heavenly Banner first and foremost.
Yep.
Brochacho, though, getting a lot of poke damage in return, alongside Zachsy eating a whole lot of the creep wave. That's always the fun with the minions level 1.
I thought that was kind of funny because we've seen that 2-on-1 and you just leave the Guardian by themselves, and I think Transonics caught everybody by surprise there.
Well, it's kind of expected for the Coviiii to have easy lane clear pressure in the mid lane. There's just not much you can really do against this guy. I mean, he drops the tornado and then he just walks away to wherever the hell else he wants to go on the map because there's pretty much no limitations in comparison to that clear.
Exactly, and that's why, you know, that's the difference between the meta that we see players at home kind of copy and the actual pro meta, is that it's not 1-2-2 for any particular reason. The reason that you see everybody in different lanes is looking for maximum pressure. Astral Authority have gotten that pressure in the mid lane thanks to the noodle, and now Delta Marine in a ton of trouble this early on. Beautiful rotation out of Obey Alliance to save the life of their mid lane for now.
Getting somewhat turned around on Transonics, having to use his own purification beads to get out of danger and fair positioning. Delta Marine and Zachsy, though, the way that they're wrapped around, it's a pretty popular triple bounce spot for Coviiii, and thinking better of it, they're going to elect to clear out the lane instead.
Yeah, just got to be a little bit careful fighting in those corridors. And Astral Authority successfully get the invade, both on the red buff and just on the purple buff. Zachsy actually holding the red, so no big deal there. Meanwhile, right side, Dwurst and Myflin half HP. Wolves and KhaoticPurpose not exactly healthy either, though.
This is a strong time period for KhaoticPurpose as well. The running back, the dodge, she has so much burst and burn potential like what we got to witness in the last game, but at the same time, she is incredibly squishy and punishable in the early game.
Especially, yeah, and one of the things that I like about the dodgy selection, although you bring up the negative, I'll bring up the positive, is the fact that she's fun to play with a team that are all on the same page because you get in and out with the help of your friends.
It's probably the best part of it all. Speaking of which, Myflin, it looks as though he already used his purification beads. It was just the immunity frame instead on his active.
There it is.
He's got an Aegis and he's gone.
And that just nice and simple. Nice and simple.
It's actually a blank. It seemed as though he had a little bit of the swirly going on.
Yep.
It's just that CC immunity frame lasting off of that overhead kick. Bought him a little bit of time, but not enough. And
so KhaoticPurpose looked for that both last game and this game as well. As soon as the level 5 comes through, pop up in that ultimate and try to find the kill. KP grabbed it this time. Last time we didn't see it.
But the pressure from Wolves and KhaoticPurpose, they just have so much possible clear. And Dwurst and Myflin trying to keep up against an Osiris Daji, not having a good time about it so far. Speed buff is due to spawn pretty soon. At least it won't be getting invaded for now.
Both Trans and the Sylvanas are level 5. There's the knockup beads already used. Down come the Suns. There's the ultimate. Zachsy, we knew you once. And now he's dead. 2-0. It's Astral Authority.
That has to be one of the nastiest ult combinations because there's just nowhere to go except to absorb all of that damage, and a Hunter isn't going to take much of it.
You're slowed, you're knocked up, you're still taking basic attacks from Transonics as well. So last time around, KhaoticPurpose gets rooted and in trouble but walks away. Last time around, Astral Authority played with a very similar composition, lost the game for 20+ minutes, and then decided that it was time for them to win later on. This time around, they're just leading from the get-go. Gotta be scary, Taco.
Although I will say, as far as early game kill potential is concerned, I would probably have to favor the Sylvanas selection over a Xing-Tian. Xing-Tian, although great with these sort of compositions, just isn't gonna have the same sort of lockdown and damage potential early on.
I'm really afraid for when KhaoticPurpose starts hanging out with Coviiii. The pulls into the ultimates, even just a tornado late game. If you get hit by one of those tornadoes from the Kukulkan, you can watch your HP tick down all the way to 0.
What I love about Astral's draft the most is that Obey has a super beefy front line. You've got Robin, Fafnir, and Xing-Tian. Couldn't find the more ideal front line, to be honest, but KhaoticPurpose and Transonics being the Hui and Danshi, perfect shred capabilities on those two gods alone. And then you toss Coviiii into the mix on the Kukulkan, it's perfect.
Oh, KP, he can't reach. Nah, he can't reach. Nice try, buddy. I like the idea. The idea was to combine the ultimates. KhaoticPurpose doesn't realize he can't hit over that wall that time around, so he'll walk away empty-handed. Something I want to bring up here, Taco, is that Coviiii on this Kukulkan, something that is kind of, Smite 101. We'll hold that thought real quick as a fight looking like it's about to erupt. Brochacho already half HP. KhaoticPurpose trying to dive on the back line. Gets hit by the ultimate from the mid lane mage. Still relatively safe. Needs help. Needs help. Where's the team? Coviiii drops the ultimate. Whoa. He hits all 3. KhaoticPurpose gets the hit off of the mid lane mage. Obey Alliance with a kill as Myflin turns up.
They found who they wanted to, and Jelly actually wasn't even able to lock down KhaoticPurpose all the way. That Daji using a friend to just get out of dodge. Myflin, though, alongside of Zachsy, really trying to keep Transonics from living here.
Yeah, they're really trying to force this engagement. Transonics looking for the red buff here, and no bingo. He winds up empty-handed, unable to find the kill earlier on.
Fortunately enough, though, he did have backup from Chaotic, because I think he might have been soloed by the buff boss there had Chaotic not gone to help him out.
So what I wanted to bring up before was, we see the Warlock Sash on Coviiii. Now, because of the passive, don't you obviously go Soul Trap into Thoth?
It's not a necessity, is probably the best way to put it, because Book of Thoth is great on Coviiii, particularly because all that mana only boosts onto his damage potential, and this god can just scale so high is probably one of the best features
really
about him.
scary.
It's just that ultimate feels as though if you miss it, well, good luck to your team fight, but if you hit it, I mean, you're on top of the world.
And there's a lot, and the reason why I think we see, well, Coviiii won, he can freehand that ultimate. He's sort of earned that credential over years of playing this character, but there's confirmation by way of KhaoticPurpose, there's confirmation by way of Elbow Chacho. Hell, Transonics stun can even confirm the ultimate if you time things right. I actually like the Warlock Sash on Coviiii here. He's, well, very susceptible to the gank. So he's a little bit more beefy.
Well, the main thing here for Astral is that they keep leaning towards these AoE-based compositions. Meanwhile, Obey is a little bit more target-oriented, trying to find the pick-off before anything else, because that's just where their draft works best, but I'd favor the team fight over everything else.
And right now, Astral Authority, all they want to do is fight. You can see them behind their wave, just looking for the combat. Delta Marine going to come around here, Myflin as well. The call for the mid lane is a little bit late as Brochacho's still up front. He's going to fall down easy peasy. Two-man rotation, four-man gank onto Astral Authority support. That's just a mistake.
A beautiful rotation by Obey Alliance, though, and even though Dwurst is left a little by himself in the solo lane, that doesn't matter because it's all about Obey being able to secure their buffs.
Oh, no, he gets the beads, which is still good enough. Coviiii being collapsed on here. KhaoticPurpose going to help out. Coviiii, however, low, very low. Jelly brings them down to 0. And Obey Alliance tie the game. It's 3-3.
KhaoticPurpose isn't going to be able to find anything in return there. One dodgy, just not enough damage to do anything with it. But that was a perfect example of what happens if that Coviiii ultimate doesn't hit anybody. Spirit of the Nine Winds deals so much damage, but not if nobody's around to follow up on it, or not if it doesn't hit.
Yeah, I mean, that's the key. That one was a defensive ultimate. I mean, Coviii's just hitting the ult button because everybody's on top of him looking for a knockup or just the damage to say, get away from me. Unfortunately, Coviiii falls as well. Chacho and friends here in the mid lane. Not much to do, just clearing the wave.
For Myflin in particular, this is where he has to step up huge and really keep Coviiii locked down as far as forcing out that ultimate early. If Myflin can consistently poke Coviiii low enough to where Coviiii keeps dropping that ultimate defensively, then this could look really good for Obey Alliance.
pbnjellly, oh, KhaoticPurpose is here. They already forced the jump. Now they're going to get the pull. There's the ultimate out of Sylvanas, and Jelly relatively low. KhaoticPurpose cleaning that one up, or Chacha actually gets the K for that one. So Astral Authority get the easy pick, and Jelly sits down for 15.
I like the discipline by Myflin there as well. You can tell he kind of wanted to commit to Brochacho, but thinking better of the situation since he had Coviiii and Chaotic to back him up. He's gonna look at the mid Harpies instead, eating so much damage from Chaotic.
The ultimate is gonna be good. He's gonna pull, the damage should be good enough, but he flip kicks it. Well timed by Myflin.
And just for good measure, Coviii's gonna eat up that ultimate from Delta Marine, forcing out quite a lot, but still not enough for anybody else from Obey to go down.
Man, Myflin with the avoidance there. Nice play. KhaoticPurpose has looked really strong on this dodgy, though. Really impressed with how he's able to play the Fox Lady.
And that's kind of just to be expected. If Astral Authority are gonna bet their chances against the last year's world champions for the console scene, and Daji is the pick to do it.
I mean, this is one of my favorite matches this entire week, believe it or not, because of the whole storyline behind it. Obey Alliance, yesterday's heroes, the team that the defending world champs, kind of the crowd favorite for a while. But here in 2017, Astral Authority have just literally won everything. So now at Worlds 2018, who prevails? The team from yesteryear or the flavor of the month? I mean, it's crazy. This is such a nice matchup.
And both teams very equally matched in skills. Although last game didn't look too promising for Obey towards the end of it, this is still a former world champion team. These guys know what they are doing. Delta Marine in particular, some of his roots and the madness effect that he's been able to create has saved his teammates already a few times in this match alone.
Delta Marine he's been a player to watch forever, formerly known as Unrelinquished. Just so strong at this middle lane. His positioning is really, really impressive. And he gets away with a lot of stuff that other mid leaders don't, simply because he knows how to wiggle in and out of the battle.
If Obey want to have a better time working around these objectives, because last game it was the Gold Fury fights that ended up being their demise.
Yeah.
Obey has to find those picks before they can look to aggress the situation from any direction. It's just they need that 4v5, 3v5 man advantage with their draft.
KhaoticPurpose is just all over the place, bringing down himself down to half HP again, going up. But there's the ultimate out of Myflin, and that's that. Nice play by KhaoticPurpose.
You always got to remember that Discordia Alpha also causes them to taunt the entire time while spamming "I'm the greatest" to their team.
Oh yeah.
In case anybody's wondering at home why we see these gods spamming taunts so often.
Gold Fury, the focus right here for Astral Authority. And there's the ultimate out of Coviiii, gonna knock pbnjellly and take a whole chunk, and Delta Marine falls down. KhaoticPurpose doing his job right there. Force the mission. And Gold Fury will be the target.
That's so unfortunate for Jelly, just coming up from that draconic form into a Kukulkan ultimate. Gold Fury has been pulled down to half health. DWurst, though, coming through with a pretty big ultimate, grabbing Brochacho in the process, and Jelly's gonna make quick work of him.
So now it's a 4-on-4. KhaoticPurpose has to play it safe on the left-hand side. Gold Fury won't be taken down, and it's a great play by Obey Alliance. Meanwhile, Wolves versus the World. There's Transonics. What up, dude? That's what Trans is saying. Down goes Zachsy. One more basic. He's got to run, and DWurst able to find it.
Unfortunately for Jelly, though, there's nowhere left to run. Transonics jumps into that situation feeling like the man, and then he remembers he's not full health.
You know what they call that? The official term for that is a mess. That whole team fight in the mid lane was nonsense. Everybody was low. Again, that's one where nobody really wins, but Obey Alliance actually come up on top of that theoretically because Astral are unable to get the Gold Fury.
And KhaoticPurpose not too happy about that speed buff not being in his favor. He's probably looking to steal it away from Obey. And instead, Delta Marine could potentially lose his life trying to help his own teammate live with his.
Astral are pretty deep here, though, and they're going to get punished. Delta Marine 72 takes down KhaoticPurpose. That's the first death for the Daji, but like I said, she was kind of tempting fate there. Behind a tier 1 tower. Calm down, bud.
Only so much to be done there. And I think that so far, considering that the last couple of team fights have been 2-for-1s or 3-for-1s in Astral Authority's favor, Obey Alliance has done a great job hanging in there and keeping the gold lead at least relatively close.
That's exactly what they're trying to do. 14 minutes in, 2,200 gold for Astral Authority. And while that is a lead, Taka, you bring up the great point that Obey, they're keeping it close. They're in striking distance.
Right now, though, Astral Authority Brochacho had Jelly on his mind there, maybe looking to try and poke out the Fafnir, primarily because if Jelly has to back, that's going to be devastating towards Obey Alliance, because I could definitely see Astral Authority trying to siege the Gold Fury should anybody from Obey back at an awkward time.
Oh, absolutely. Delta Marine does have the burst when you combine Strife with the silly little ball that her first ability is, but Coviii's ultimate is the quintessential mine ability. You get the objective down low enough, and Coviiii hits 4 and goes, mine, right? Like, that's really what you're looking for. So Astral Authority, I think, have probably a better chance at looking for those objective fights.
And that's the main thing that Obey Alliance is probably not going to start feeling until later on in the match, is that they don't really have any one member dedicated for objective secure.
Yeah.
Sure, their gods can pick up their buffs, no problem, but trying to fight off against a Spirit of the Nine Winds, there's not many ultimates in the game that actually fare well against that one. And on top of that, you've also got such great zoning potential as well because of Transonics ultimate.
Yeah, there's just so many variables that make Astral Authority a scary composition to fight into. You know what the best variable is? KP coming from over the wall. However, sniffed out. Myflin is the one dealing damage to him. Brings him down to half HP. And the rotation from Obey Alliance all the way from the mid lane gonna hurt as well. There's the Strife and a little bit of stun as well on El Brochacho. But the pull from KP is strong. And Jelly will go immediately into the ultimate and he'll be greeted by Coviiii. KP puts a dot on that. And it's 10-6.
Poor Jelly in that situation. There's really nothing else he can do. It's either you go into the Draconic form and immune all the damage that's going to happen to you, or you go into the Draconic form and get hit by a Spirit of the Nine Winds.
The impossible decision. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. And right now, Myflin could be in trouble as well. KP gets brought down low, and Transonics picks up where he left off. There's the kill onto the jungler. Now Trans again low, Aegis is activated, Wolves around the corner. Delta Marine able to throw the ball and get the kill, however, the rest of the team in trouble. Zachsy relatively low, Wolves just battling it out 1 versus 2, while Dwurst trying to chase down the kill and will successfully get it. Zachsy falls in trade for KhaoticPurpose.
And Wolves is more than happy to pick up the pieces where Transonics left off. Not really given much of a choice either. Trading out Hunter for Hunter is best case scenario for Astral because it means that Trans isn't gonna fall behind Zachsy from free farm and vice versa.
I loved that play. Watching Astral Authority, you know, we talked about how they are a team and they use that synergy. KhaoticPurpose goes in really deep, gets the player low, jumps out, and Transonics is like a tag team match in wrestling. Just jumps right on forward, gets the kill, and theoretically, he goes ahead, tags in his solo laner, but obviously Trans falls down to the wayside there. Still, a nice play to look at by Astral Authority, and it just keeps them up ahead.
And just look at how deep Astral's wards have started to become against Obey Alliance. Astral had a ward on that red buff. Had Transonics been back a little bit faster, I could have definitely seen him trying to invade that alongside of Wolves.
Yeah, Astral now looking to really take their lead and make something of it as we're 18 minutes in this one. Obey Alliance do have the vision on the Gold Fury with the kill of the Oracles over there, but now Trans just trying to be annoying here by the purple.
And of course, Transonics, if there's one thing he loves doing, it's being an absolute nuisance in front of 2 people or more. It's never the 1v1. I mean, a lot of the times it is the 1v1, but if there's more than 2 people standing in front of Transonics, he's gonna play as aggressive as possible.
Oh, look at this one. Coviiii was hiding around the corner, hoping Obey would show up and just launch the ult. Instead, Astral are gonna start at the Gold Fury, 80% now. A little bit of help from Transonics. There's the big damage for the mid lane made. Help out from KhaoticPurpose. Nice ultimate. Astral take the Gold Fury, but the ensuing fight will be different. No Wolves for Astral Authority. So they're fighting 4 on, well, 4 as Dwurst isn't there either. So damage coming forward. Brochacho relatively low. Jelly finds a stun, but doesn't have the team. He doesn't need the team, but KhaoticPurpose taking care of the team on the backside. Dublayun to go down. KP eats Zachsy.
Everybody was looking at Brochacho, but they completely forgot that their squishies were on the backside. Jelly, now left all alone by himself, should be able to get out of danger before he starts to de-transform. And of course, though, with 2 picks, that's more than enough of an opening for Astral Authority to look at this T1 tower and mid.
And what was wonderful for Astral Authority and their fans at home is the fact that usually you go for the objective after that team fight, but they already got the objective, so the team fight brings them to the other side of the map. Now they're looking for the Portal Demon. That's going to go down easy peasy. 14 kills and a slew of gold, 4,000, and they're looking at the big boy.
This objective control and shred from Astral Authority is absolutely insane. Coviiii doesn't have his ultimate this time around. If Brochacho isn't able to zone away Obey Alliance, there is potential for a steal here. However, I think Astral Authority maybe just wanted to find the fight.
Yeah, Fire Giant going to be leashed out here in AA, looking for exactly what you were talking about. Dwarf's going to go ahead into the ultimate. Transonics jumps right on top. KhaoticPurpose, however, relatively low. And Dwarf's able to put his team on the board. Big ultimate from Coviiii. It's going to hit the whole team. There's the ultimate coming out from the support as well. Brochacho takes down Zach.
Just a little bit of the bleed effect still happening due to those wisps, and now Wolves all by himself amidst 4. No problem, pops those thorns and immediately starts going to work. Jelly trying to help out Ultramarine on the backside, but it's not gonna buy him enough time.
Keep an eye on Transonics. Coviiii is gonna be the one getting the last hit on that one. Doris comes right on through, but Coviiii and Transonics, Wolves versus the world! The 1v2 was successful. Now he's tower diving. He gets stunned. He doesn't really care. The rest of the team looking towards the speed buff. Dwurst in trouble as well. Trans looking for the kill. 1 shot, 2 shot. We'll see you later.
And the buff to boot. That's probably the cherry on top if you're an Astral Authority fan, but if you're for Obey, that's pretty rough stuff all around the board so far. That's just not the ideal fighting situation. It was a great pickup onto Brochacho. It was just leaving everybody else so exposed that ended up being their downfall.
That was a sad moment for Obey Alliance, I think. That was a fight that could have gone either direction, but Astral Authority, they catch Obey, they win the team fight, Obey find themselves crying. Astral Authority really forced the tissue there.
I don't even know what to say to you right now.
You gonna let that one marinate?
I'm just gonna let it go.
Yeah. Either way, Astral Authority up 18-11. And it's 54-47 as well, if you're counting in thousands. So a nice lead for Astral Authority. The winner of this game, if it is Astral, will find themselves in the finals against Inbound and his team Myth. Obey Alliance, however, they need to win this one and the next one should they find the victory. So Obey, certainly giving it a shot.
It's a long shot to do the reverse sweep right now against Astral Authority, especially when all 5 members are toting this Fire Giant buff around them. Still a lot of towers left on the map, and Obey Alliance do have a pretty strong front line. Again, we touched on it earlier. This is probably the kind of team composition you'd want for holding out your base.
Sure, this is a good defensive composition. However, Astral Authority, I think, have a fantastic offensive composition. Able to get rid of the minions, able to get rid of the Hunter. Zachsy forced down on the horse. KhaoticPurpose can't hit the ultimate, but finally finds one, and Dwurst is able to find the spin cycle and avoid that thanks to the CC immunity. And Wolves just doing his own thing. Mid lane, 1 versus 3, not a care in the world. Half HP for him, walk away.
I think we're pretty used to seeing Wolves in the middle of 4 to 5 people by now. It's been the same story almost all season long, but
almost all career.
Fair point at that. T2 Tower gonna be the next victim for Astral Authority, and only 1 T2 remains. Not sure they want to go for it just yet. Might just opt to back and spend the gold that they've already acquired.
Yeah, Astral's gonna back off here real quick. Gonna be able to reap what they've sown. And look for the secondary push. Fire Giant still in tow for a little bit, so they have that buff even after they back to base, and they'll probably look for a Gold Fury here and then a secondary push.
And such a curious build as well from KhaoticPurpose. It's worked out great for him, provides him with that cooldown reduction that's typically pretty ideal for a Daji, particularly since her first ability deals so much damage and has the lowest cooldown in her kit. And on top of that, the hi-rez, that 40% boosted auto attack proc off of the ability is absolutely insane for Daji.
Exactly. I mean, she's a character that's built around basic attacks. Surprise, you're gonna basic attack often. Definitely gonna get the boon. I like to stone a guy as well there, though, especially against this team. I mean, what does Xing Chen do?
That's just a competitive pickup as well, I believe, because in the last match, we saw how low he was often getting poked out to. Sustain is the name of the game, and especially if you're Astral Authority. Right now, they're looking to shoot down the final T2.
Obey's got a nice initiation here. Myflin is the first one on the board, taking down Coviiii post-ultimate. And it all had to do with a nice initiation coming out from the guys on Obey. Myflin's low, however. KP's even lower, and Myflin finds the secondary kill. Around the backside comes help, and there's going to be one for Wolves. Zachsy is low. Zachsy is dead. Wolves trying to finish things off. Transonics is the one that does it. Transonics is the one that does it. 2 kills for the Hunter from New York. And the Tier 2 tower is in the sights of Astral Authority. One more time, surprise, Trans gets another kill.
Not even just the T2 tower. Transonics is always hungry for blood in these matches, and he's gonna be able to find it. A 4 for 2. Especially considering that Brochacho wasn't even there for the start of that.
No, I mean, Brochacho was able to really make that team fight turn around. So him and his squad will pick up the pieces and look for the Portal Demon right there, successfully pick that one up. And with 3 seconds on KhaoticPurpose, no reason that they need to sit on their hands any longer. Astral already have a commanding lead in this game, both in, well, Pick a category. They're winning. And Astral Authority certainly looking to make some noise here in the next couple of minutes.
A 14,000 gold lead for Astral is pretty brutal to try and handle, not to mention the experience lead across the board. Only one really able to still keep up is Dwurst, trailing at level 19, but everybody else on his team is really feeling just how devastating that lead can be.
I mean, that's what you get. Everything that's been put into this game basically winds up here. I think if you look all the way back to the picks and bans, to the first couple of minutes of this game, this is where you expect it to be. Fire Giant, even though most of the time when we see a non-contest on the Fire Giant, it's because their Fire Minion is raining in and they have homework to do. This time, Obey don't want to tussle onto the Fire Giant simply because they're down 15K and they can't win that fight anyway.
They're just looking to take whatever they can get, and it seems as though the whole map is their oyster. They are completely dismantling Obey Alliance piece by piece, and this might be the final tick of the match.
All right, side Phoenix is going to be in the sights. You can see KhaoticPurpose spreading things as he pushes up the mid lane as well. Astral Authority will respond to it by way of Hunter. Zachsy moving over there into the mid lane. Right side, Wolves leading the charge, going to take the tower just a little bit. Coviiii dropping the Cyclone, making sure to be able to take care of all of the nonsense as far as the minions are concerned. Brochacho finds a knockup, backside is going to be trouble, half HP on Dwurst. He needs to be the tanky target. There's the ultimate on Coviiii, immediately getting rid of pbnjellly, and Transonics gets the kill.
He doesn't even get a chance to be a part of the fight any longer, although Obey Alliance with a quick response, knocking down Brochacho in the process. So far, so good on this Phoenix defense. Zachsy falling pretty low. He doesn't have his ultimate to help him out this time, but neither does KhaoticPurpose. He's trapped inside the middle of that base, and Myflin takes him down and out for the count.
That's the problem with the Dodgy. She can't get out unless she has a teammate available. Wolves finds the okie doke kill on Delta Marine, and that's going to be another one down. 4 versus the rest. Mid lane Phoenix also in trouble here. Wolves, however, going to be in trouble as he's getting hit by the Phoenix and 3 other players. Transonics and Coviiii are stuck.
It's the awkward 3v3 dance on the mid-hand Phoenix. They want to take it. You can tell that all Astral Authority wants to do is siege it, but there's really not many options left for them. Jelly was so close to respawning, and that's his own base.
Yeah.
He's going to be able to help his team. I just have to feel for Jelly in these circumstances because there's really not anything he could do, and it's not that he's doing anything wrong. He's just left in a lose-lose situation every single time going into that draconic form.
If Jelly doesn't ult in his fountain, he's getting ulted by Coviiii every time. And he's going to be a non-factor. We see how much damage that Coviii's able to land on him. He's got the penetration by way of the Obsidian Shard and the boost, of course. And Coviii's going to nail him with the ultimate and what little HP he has left. Transonics shows up, hits him with a couple of shots with the Chin Sai. See you later, it's a 5-on-4. Every single time. So Obey Alliance really needs to get in front of the 8 ball, but they're just not able to.
I think that's the main reasoning, too, behind this Coviiii selection, because it might have seemed a little bit odd initially. Astral Authority, sure, they love playing the objective and the zoning game, but Coviiii off cooldown, dropping these tornadoes on top of Jelly, really preventing the Fafnir from being able to get on top of Astral Authority's own front line and keep KhaoticPurpose off of his carries.
Yeah, it's a luxury when you have a player like Coviiii that can play. We saw the Zeus ban, and he can bring out the Coviiii as well. It's such a luxury when you have that option. Brochacho going to be hit by the Stripe. KP all the way in the back line. Wolves is the one that takes him down. It's a 5-on-4. KP still continuing while the mid lane Phoenix falls down. Right side trouble for Zachsy. Gonna get hit by a little bit of the nonsense. Man on a horse, right side. Coviiii takes down Jelly. What a surprise. We've seen that all game. Continuing, Transonics takes him down. And that's gonna be game. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Astral Authority in the finals.
And Astral Authority, they're really riding off of that momentum from game number 1. Everything just seemed so coordinated and organized from this team throughout the entirety of game number 2.
Yeah, I mean, this is exactly what Brochacho and the rest of the squad had planned. They did not expect to lose this set. They did not expect to lose pretty much anything. Myflin still in great spirits. But right now, it's all about these guys. The blue, the black, and the white. And they come up with the W. Kelly, break it down.
Thank you so much, Tom. Man, Astral Authority just had so much dominance in that game.
They are who we thought they were, honestly. It was Transonics, that man on your screen, playing lights out on the Coviiii, ending something like 8-2 and 10.
We were talking about them, the picks and bans. How can they let Coviiii through when Transonics did so well? And I believe it was you, Ro, that was talking about it. They should have been focusing on him, and they just weren't.
They had the perfect opportunity. They should have learned from the game before, but they doesn't seem like they did. And even on top of that, they just let him free cast in so many of these fights. He did so much damage in the late game. I don't see how any way Obey could have come back without fixing that one problem.
They had two guys that can get in the back line between Xingchen and the Raven, but when you go on to Transonics now, you have to worry about Kobe's Kukulkan, and it gets a little bit tricky around there. There was that one team fight that blew the game wide open. It happened actually around the 25-minute mark, but hold that thought, around this team fight specifically.
Oh, I think at the 21-minute mark when it turns into the Fire Giant buff?
Yes, something like that, where it was a lot of members from Obey Alliance that picked off Coviiii first, then KhaoticPurpose, but they left Transonics left alone to do what he wanted the rest of the team fight.
Yeah, the start of the game seemed a little, not shaky, but even, I would say. It was actually a pretty standard game until about the 15-minute mark.
Yeah, you can tell these teams are very, very close in skill. They must scrim each other a lot. They knew their picks. But it was just those few little things. Even Daji this game got ahead in the early game, and she bought the Rangers mask and continued to snowball. But the big thing for me was the Sylvanas sustain, and that was the key thing in both games. Astral Authority had that little bit of sustain to help them in these long fights, and eventually they took over.
You don't want to give props to Kukulkan at all?
Look, it was a better pick than I thought it would be. Obviously, I mean, we've talked about it a bit. It's something they fall back on, like just when they don't know what to pick. But it fit great here because even though they didn't have much set up in each other's kits, they could set up on something like Fafnir, who's coming out of his ult, put the Tornado on top of him, and put the ult on top of him. It's just like Discordia put the Tornado on top of F3.
Sometimes the threat is actually greater than the action, so being able to keep your distance away from the Kukulkan, that was always in the back of Obey's minds.
Definitely, and such a good pick against Discordia, who does have a lot of range, so you need range to fight that range.
Absolutely, especially just dropping the Tornado on top of the Stealth Cloud makes it impossible to get those cooldowns back in time.
We did just see KhaoticPurpose's Dodgy, though, and I mean, everyone from Astral Authority played phenomenally there. I really can't pick anyone that was the main reason they won.
Absolutely.
I'd have to say Trans on that. I would have to, but that's because he just had such a big impact at the end of both games there.
But all of them had such impacts, though.
He was playing Coviiii, so he did have a lot of damage with that mark of the Golden Throw, but everyone did their job, honestly. Wolves diving the backline as Osiris, zoning out so many multiple members, Brochacho sticking his neck out there for the team, making sure that his team would be topped off every single time, and it was just Wolves and Coviiii doing a lot of damage here, also as well as Transonics in the late game that enabled them to really close out the game.
Yeah, and you mentioned Brochacho, and I want to mention again, not just what we see on camera and what he's doing in-game, but we can hear him all the way over here. There's a long distance between there. He's keeping his team hyped up, and they are really, really killing it today.
Guys, they're going to be going up against Myth Gaming, which we saw earlier today, beating out Strictly Business. Strictly Business was the one team that people thought were going to be able to take down Astral Authority. But if they weren't able even to take down Myth Gaming, maybe Myth is up for the challenge.
Well, see, Myth, you know, they have some momentum, but I think that momentum favors Astral Authority. Winning spring, winning summer. They're here at the fall. They're playing lights out. My momentum money is on Astral.
Have to agree with you there.
I'm really excited to see what Astral Authority has to say about these games. Let's join Gabriella down on the stage.
Thank you so much, Kelly. We are here with two of the members of our winners for this last match, El Brochacho and Transonics. First of all, heck yeah! They deserve that applause, man. You've won every single LAN leading up to this. You just won this match. How do you feel?
It feels amazing. We want to close out the year strong, and it looked like it's going to happen so far.
And what about you, Transonics?
It feels great, and to be honest, that game was free.
Well then, one thing I wanted to ask you specifically though, so many have talked about your prowess not just as a player, but someone who's a shot caller, has done great with managing the other players. How do you balance both your personal performance and then also serving as that leader for your team?
The guys actually make it a lot easier than it sounds because they all believe in me, like a lot. So the fact that they listen so easily, it makes the shot calling that much easier. When it comes to drafting too, anything that I kind of recommend, they kind of go with it. They don't really question it. They just, go. So.
Now, this does mean you're going to be in the finals. We know who your opponent is. So, Transonics, what are your thoughts going into the preparation for your next match?
We're not worried about the other team. We're worried about ourselves, to be honest.
Well said. All right. Last thing, before we throw it over to the desk, you as well, how are you feeling? You're going to be in the finals. It's going to be a great match. There's a lot to look forward to.
Myth was our scrim partner, so I can't wait to face them in the finals, actually. We were kind of rooting for them going versus SB because we practiced a lot versus them. And I think we have strats already lined up for them.
Well, congratulations once again, guys. That's going to do it for us here at the stage. For one last time, let's throw it over to the analyst desk.
Thank you so much, Gabby. Man, the words coming out of there were feisty.
A lot of confidence from Astral Authority, and for good reason, too. When you win LAN after LAN consecutively, like, let's be real, they deserve to be confident.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, let's take a review of what we got to see today in these games on console. I mean, we do have our 2 finalists going forward today. It is going to be Astral Authority versus Myth Gaming, but we definitely can't knock out Strictly Business and Obey Alliance, who had, and especially that first matchup we saw, it was so close. These teams definitely deserve to be here.
You know, despite Myth Gaming's struggle to get here, coming back from an 0-1 deficit to win the next 2, Myth Gaming definitely deserves to be in the finals here against Astral Authority.
And like you said, they're very, very confident. They've been scrimming against them for the past couple of weeks since they were qualified for this event, and they've already got strategies lined up going into tomorrow.
Well, the finals are going to be on Saturday. Tomorrow is just going to be PC games. So let's actually check out the bracket that we saw, because we also saw some teams leaving today as well. But the 2 teams going forward is going to be Nocturnes and Black Dragons. Nocturnes is going to be going up against team rival, #1 seeded EU team. Black Dragons going up against EU United. It's so awesome to make it past these knockout days, but then you have to face these guys.
In a best of 3, too. Rival is probably going to be the scariest of the 2 to really face off because of the momentum that they've had under them.
Oh, yeah.
But, I'm sorry, please.
I would absolutely agree. In my opinion, Rival, one of the scariest teams here, and maybe one of the easiest brackets, depending how we see Luminosity and NRG play as well.
But look at these other matchups. LG versus Energy, this has been the story every year for the last 3 years.
Whether they were Cloud9 or Luminosity, they've always faced each other in the semifinals, which was a best of 5. But this year around, they're in the quarters, which is a best of 3, which always favored, actually, Luminosity.
They always go 2-1, and then they come back,
Yeah.
right? Oh, my gosh. And then, of course, we got Obey Alliance versus Elevate. That game that we saw during Super Regionals, probably the best set, or at least my favorite set out of Super Regionals. Maybe because they played Hell. Maybe.
You really love your Hell.
Yeah. I got to see Isis and Amir already. That's all I need.
Speaking of these picks, I think these 2 teams are the ones we're going to see get the furthest into their god pools, the furthest into their cheesy strats. I want to see it tomorrow. I want to see them go all out, create a new meta for Worlds.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us here again at HRX 2018, powered by INAP. This is the Smite World Championships for Season 4. It has been an insane day, and tomorrow is going to only be crazier. And if you guys are still looking for some awesome esports actions, please, guys, head on over to the Expo stage where there's still some Paladins esports going on. But that is it for here. Everyone over on the Smite stage, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow starting at 9 a.m.